welcome back to another episode of our live seasons where we talk about the raw and honest truth to navigating through the different seasons of life. I'm your host Wen, and if you have been loving the podcast episodes, please do leave a review of this podcast on whichever platform they're on and let me know which topics are your favorite. Now, today you can see we're in a different setup, in a different room, because I am in New York City for 2 weeks. So the first week is gonna just be me exploring the city and just having fun, just for travel purposes. And then the second week, I will be working here. So yeah, all this happened really quickly. I was only supposed to be spending 10 days in New York City just for my own personal trip. But then somehow I have to kind of extend it I get to extend it for my work trip. And it's honestly just, I don't know, it's very surreal as to how it started and how it ended. So today is my 4th day here. I have a lot to talk about. This episode is just gonna be an episode where it's similar to the San Francisco episode. If you guys have not watched it yet, please do go watch it because it's really just a live update. And I kind of want to share with you guys the lessons that I have learned during or prepping for this trip, because a lot has happened, especially on the day of me flying itself. Crazy stuff happened, and I just kind of want to use this episode as an episode to remind myself and also to remind you guys of the things that I've constantly been talking about. And this trip has honestly put all this to test. And it's so hard to kind of, I feel like it's a test from the universe in a sense where whatever that I've told myself, whatever that I've told you guys, I really was put to test in this particular trip itself. And I will share with you guys why. Okay, a little story time. So let's start from the day that I fly, which is on the 8th of August. I was supposed to fly with my elder brother. He's coming in from Penang, and I'm actually meeting him in Singapore airport, and then we were flying together on the same flight to Newark. So what happened was his flight was delayed, and because his flight was delayed, he got rerouted to his flight got delayed, and then they kind of put him on the next earliest flight, so we could not fly together. So that was the first hurdle that I have to face. I was very anxious the entire time. I was very nervous because though I've been to the States, this is my first time coming to New York City. From the last time that I came here was 5 years ago. So it's been quite some time. So I don't know how it's gonna be like. I was actually very nervous. I don't know for what reason. But I was just letting the nerves eat up. And then I was just there wondering if he was gonna make it in time, what would happen. I have to go through all this alone now, blah 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 blah. So I was constantly anxious, and I was in this negative spiral almost. I almost spiraled into a negative spiral, and I'm so glad that I caught myself before that and tell myself that, you know what, it's okay, it's not your first time in the States, you'll be fine. I have to constantly sit at the airport before boarding and constantly try to calm my nerves down because I was all over the place. My mind was all over the place. I was so nervous. I was breaking into cold sweats, and it was just a horrible feeling, right? And that was when I realized that, okay, I really needed to pull myself together and be look, it's all gonna work out, right? I constantly tell you guys that things are gonna work out for the better, and everything happens for a reason. And this is something that I have to learn. The first lesson that I had to learn was to tell myself that everything happens for a reason. I may not see the reason right now, but I do trust that the universe allowed this thing to happen for a reason. Okay, so it was so hard for me to believe because in that moment I had nothing to hold on to. Everything was just it just became shit. I felt so shitty about the whole entire situation. And this is when I want to tell you guys that even though I have our life seasons as a podcast where I talk about self-help, I talk about life lessons, I talk about a lot of things that I've learned in life, and it may seem I have life together, when scenario happens, I would be calm. You would think that I would be calm and I would be solving everything, but that's so far from the truth. I was panicking like a normal humans. I was panicking, and that was when I realized that I needed to give myself grace. Okay, it's very normal for when shit happens or when unexpected things happen in your life. The first thing that we as humans would do, we would start panicking. It's very normal. So the first thing that I learned is to not beat myself up for it, because I was constantly facing these two emotions where I was super nervous, but at the same time, I knew that I could do better. I could do better than that. I was beating myself up so much because I felt like I should not even have spiraled into negativity. I should not even have put myself in a situation where I would be nervous, right? But then it also throughout this entire thing, it also made me realize that, you know what, it's okay. Be kind to yourself. It's so important to be kind to ourselves, because at the end of the day, when you're going through this entire situation, you only have yourself. You're going through it with yourself. So you might as well just be kind to yourself and treat yourself a little bit better, right? So that was when I started to kind of try to reverse everything and be like, you know what, everything's gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. It all gonna happen for a good reason, okay? So I really had to trust, even though it was so hard for me to trust the entire process. And like I mentioned, I know it's very easy to say that, you know, trust the process, everything's gonna turn out the way you want it to, everything's gonna work out in a better way. But in that moment when things are happening around you, it is very tough, okay? And I will admit it is very tough for me myself to be trusting of that situation and of the universe saying that, okay, I see it, like, just let me relax and breathe. So I literally had to pull myself back, and then I sat at the airport. I started breathing and I started meditating. I started praying. I prayed to the universe, to God, or whatever, to say that, like, you know, I do not know why you're putting me through this, but I trust and I know and I have faith in you that you gave me the ability and the capabilities to be able to go through this, and I will grow through this, okay? I will be able to find the lessons in it afterwards. So this was something that I constantly tell myself, that it will all make sense. I do not have to worry right now. It's not helping if I were to worry and just start spiraling, right? It really is not helping, because there's nothing that I can do. So that was what I did. I decided to just breathe and relax, and I felt slightly better, but at the same time, you know, the nerves were still there, right? So I bought the plane, and then when I bought the plane, everything kind of was okay until I was literally holding on to my last row. Like, I was on that seat and I realized that my seat could not recline. That was when I was like, seriously, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I've gone through all of that, and then now I realized that, oh, my seat is not, I can't recline my seat. And the only seat that could recline was what's supposed to be my brother's seat, which was beside me, and then beside him was 2 other people. So I was like, oh my god, no way, I have to squeeze with people. And then yeah, I was just not in a good state, and I started spiraling again. I was like, oh my god, why is this thing happening to me? I just wanted a relaxed trip. Like, can't this trip just be nice? Blah, blah, blah. So, again, I was in a very bad headspace, okay? Not gonna lie. Like, I really, like, right now, thinking back about it, like, it was very normal. I forgave myself, or kind of like, I told myself that going through it again, I would have gone through the same spiraling, the negativity again, just because it's very normal. And this is something that like I said, I want to tell you guys. It is very normal for you to spiral or have that potential of spiraling into negativity, just this is just how our minds are, right? I know, as much as, you know, you read a lot of books, self-help books, or rather you listen to a lot of self-help podcasts, and you know the quote-unquote right mindset to have or to deal with that particular situation or situations that are not favorable for you. But when it happens, when situations happen like that, we just forget everything, okay? This is just it. And I just need you to know that, you know, this is when I would talk about, like, the toxicity of positivity, like, too positive. Just know that you can never ever be, like, super positive all the time. You can never be happy all the time, right? Like I mentioned, the duality of life. You have to have sadness to know the happiness. You have to have excitement to know fear. It goes hand in hand, okay? So this was the first test that I had also, or probably second. I don't know at this point how many tests I have to go through, but this was also when I realized that, okay, I gotta really give myself grace and breathe. I gotta breathe through it. And I always believe that this is for me particularly, whenever I am in, like, whenever I feel like I've hit my rock bottom for that situation, or just in life in general, I feel like the next step is always up, right? When you're at the rock bottom, the only way is up. And this is something that I really love, because when you think about it that way, you kind of feel better a little bit, and you just kind of focus on the good, right? So I was like, okay, I gotta focus on what can happen next, like what's gonna happen next, or what can I do in this situation, right? This is when I really have to pull myself back and remember all the journaling prompts that I have been telling myself whenever I face situations that is just not favorable at all. I always focus on the what can I do now instead of the why it happened to me, right? And how can I try to make this better for myself. So this was when I shifted, and then I went to speak to, like, the air stewardess and be like, oh, my seat can't recline, and was hoping that she could help me, so she can't recline my seat as well. So we started to think of like the next best option, which is shifting me to another seat, right? So I contemplated, I'm not going to go into details of what happened, but I contemplated of shifting seats, and I was so uncomfortable for the first 2 hours of the flight. And this is the longest flight, yeah, by the way, from Singapore all the way to New York. It's the longest flight ever. It was almost like 18 hours. And I was like, there's no way I'm gonna spend another 15 hours just being in this really uncomfortable seat. So I decided to shift all the way to the back, which is a seat that was near the toilet. And I was like, okay, this is the best that I can do at least. But at least I feel safe. And the funniest thing was when I sat in that seat, I felt an instant sense of calm and peace. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm an introvert and I love like my own little space. Being all the way in the front of my seat, which was my original seating area, I felt like, I don't know, I just felt so insecure. I just felt so chaotic there. Like the whole energy there was just not it. So I was like, okay, I really needed to shift. And that was when I shifted all the way to the back. When I shifted all the way to the back, the energy just kind of shifted. This is something that I can't really put to words till today, but it's something I'm very grateful for. I really needed that shift. So in my mind, I was like, okay, so this is the reason why the chair did not work, because having to go through the whole delay from my brother's end and having to separate with my brother, having that placement of seat was just not it. And the fact that my recliner chair did not work put me to the back seat, which was, I would call it my comfort zone or my safe space. I wouldn't call it my comfort zone, but my safe space. A space where I'm able to finally breathe and finally just be able to soak in that, okay, I'm heading to New York. It's a trip that I've been looking forward to the entire year, and I really wanted to enjoy this trip. So this was when I was like, okay, this is when I realized that everything happened for a reason. It needed to happen. That recliner chair needed to not work for me to be able to go all the way to the back and realize that, okay, I can actually finally calm down. So literally, I'm not joking when I say that when I sat on the back seat, I was like, I literally feel like I could breathe and I could really focus on, enjoying my trip. So that was at the back. I decided to meditate. I decided to, rest a little bit more. I decided to journal. And that was when everything felt kind of like a lot better. I could really, like I said, breathe, because that was what I felt like. I could really, really breathe. And just being at the backseat really gave me like this sense of security and calm, and just be like, okay, everything is taken care of. So this is not the end of it. So this is just a part of the quote-unquote good news. The second news was when I woke up, one of like the air steward came to me and he was like, Miss Ng, because of the inconvenience caused, we are actually gifting you $200 worth of credit for your next flight. And I'm like, what? Like, I did not expect that at all, because they were so nice about it and they were so apologetic that the fact that my recliner seat just wasn't working. To me, it's not a big deal, right? I mean, yes, it tipped me off, but it was also mainly because a lot emotions were just boiling and sitting from my brother's like delayed flights, and everything was just kind of picking up. It was just chaotic. The whole entire time I was just communicating with my elder brother, making sure that everything was okay on his end, like how we're gonna work this through, right? So it's crazy because the delay wasn't even for a few minutes. The delay was literally for an entire day. So he will only reach like New York after 8 hours, like 8 hours after me. So that was crazy. And I was just scared. Honestly, I was really scared because I did not know how New York was going to be like, whether it was going to be safe. And I always, like, if you guys know, I always have some sort of like, and this is the story that I told myself, right? That I always have some sort of issues with the custom. And that was when I realized, and I picked it up in the flight. I was like, okay, you know what? Nope. I'm not gonna hold on to this story anymore just because I'm gonna manifest it. Like I mentioned, whatever that you focus on grows. So in that moment, I told myself that I'm not gonna focus on the fact that maybe, perhaps, I'm gonna have issues with the custom, right? I'm gonna tell myself that I'm gonna go through everything smoothly. Everything just kind of falls into place, and it will fall into place. Just because, like I said time and time again, everything happens for a reason, and this is something that I hold on to. And another thing is, I always believe that I'm the universe's favorite child. So with this mindset in mind, I was like, okay, you know what? Breathe. So I literally forget about it and I journal everything out, and I kind of manifested how I want my day to be. After I landed, after, going through the customs, everything was smooth. I managed to have early check-in, because that was also another issue that I had, because I was reaching New York at 6 a.m. in the morning, and the check-in time was only 3 p.m. as per all hotel rooms. I was so afraid of, like, what am I gonna do for the next, 8 hours of time that I have, spare time that I have. Like, am I gonna be dragging my luggage all the way through? Blah, blah, blah. So again, I was spiraling and I had to pull myself throughout this entire trip. I really had to pull myself back time and time again and be like, breathe. Like, when it breathe, just breathe. Know that everything's gonna be taken care of. You do not have to worry. Worrying now is not gonna make a difference, especially when I'm on the flight. There's nothing that I can do, right? So I really had to like breathe and really had to pull myself back out and be like, you're gonna be fine. This is a very, very tough test for me, and it's something that, you know, looking back, I was like, okay, this is definitely a test from the universe to see how far I've grown and to see whether or not I am ready for the next level, which I am. I'm so glad I am. And this is something that I want to tell you guys, is that it doesn't really matter if when you are faced with a negative situation, or when you're faced with a situation that you do not specifically anticipate for. I think it's more important to see how you actually end up reacting, like whether you are reactive or you are just responsive, right? At the start, it is very normal, like I said, for you to react. But at the end of the day, I think it's how you really pull yourself back up together, which is the true test. The true test is not to see whether or not you will be positive throughout the entire time, that you would just, your mind would just switch and be like, it's fine, I'm okay, and just be in this positive mode all the time. The true test is about giving you or putting you in situations where it's so uncomfortable and seeing how you would react and see whether you could actually pull yourself out of that negativity and be like, look, I am okay, right? And to put whatever that you have practiced into like real time. So I think that is when I felt like I passed the test with flying colors, obviously, because things started to manifest and crazy things started to happen, like miracles started to happen. The $200 started, like, you know, this incident of just them gifting me $200 just because of my seat was something that I never expected. And then another thing that happened was, which was so crazy, was that I managed to come in, I managed to go through the customs safely, of course, and then came here, got picked up by a Tesla Model X, which was amazing and insane because it's a car that I really, really do love. It's the dream car of my mom and I. Like, I just love Tesla. I don't know why, just the looks of it is so me, it's so clean. So this is something that, you know, being able to sit and being able to have that as a transport from the airport all the way to my hotel was just amazing feeling. And then just looking at the city, the skyline of the city was just crazy. Like, I was like, oh my god, I'm actually here. So this was just like a huge part of it. And then coming here, which was the second hurdle, which was the check-in part of things. I do not know whether I would have the time to check in early, or do they even have the room ready for me to check in early, right? So long story short, when I came here, the lady told me that the room will only be ready earliest by 10 a.m. and I have to pay an additional 25 USD for early check-in. 25 USD to me was like, okay, if I get to check in early and to kind of, you know, be able to have more rest, I think it's fine, right? So that was something that I was willing to pay. And then when I sat at the area when I was packing stuff and to bring out so that I could come back to the hotel at 10 a.m. to check in, because when I reached there, it was only 7 a.m. So as I was packing, the lady was like, oh, actually I got a room ready. I was like, no way. I was so happy because I really needed that rest. And when I came in this hotel room, I was like, oh, everything made sense. Like, I was so happy with the way things turned out, and I had a great rest. I had a great time just soaking things in. I went for a walk just to kind of feel the city out, and yeah, honestly, I just loved it. And prior to recording this current episode, I was at Starbucks, and if you guys follow me on my personal Instagram account, you guys would know that it's just so nice being able to kind of live this brief short moment of the New York City girl's life, like holding on to a cup of coffee and just walking around the city, soaking it all in, headphones on, and just people watching. I think it's something that I really do enjoy. If you guys know by now, having alone time is just insane, and knowing that I'll be in New York City for 2 weeks is crazy. So there were a lot of lessons that I have to relearn again and to constantly remind myself of. So one thing that I want you guys to take off from this podcast is that if you are at a stage in your life where you feel like constantly things are happening just to you and things are just hitting you left, right, center, and you just feel so overwhelmed in life, I want you to take this time to step back and just breathe. You need to breathe. Really, like, I know you're like, girl, of course I'm breathing, because if not I wouldn't be alive. But I'm really talking about deep breath, like being so conscious about each and every single one of your breath, and be like, you know, thinking as if every single breath you take in positive light and energy. And every breath that you breathe out, it's all the negativity, all the fears, all the nerves that is living and exiting your body. This is an exercise that I really love to do. Every single time that I feel so stressed out or I feel just overwhelmed, I like to pull myself back up and be like, look, it's all gonna be okay, and I'm gonna start breathing. So I breathe really deep, like to your core, okay? So if you are feeling really overwhelmed, or you just feel like life is just shit, like you do not know what's gonna happen next, or it's just confused, you're just in this negative rut, I want you to know that you can get yourself out of it. It's not gonna happen forever. The quicker you come to realize that you have control over things, is the faster that you will get yourself out of it. Because the longer you stay in this rut, the harder it is for you to feel like you can get out of it. Okay, it really just takes like that for you to be able to just get out of this negativity and be like, look, I'm choosing to see the brighter side of things. I'm choosing to see the lessons that comes with it. I'm choosing to trust and believe that the universe puts me in this situation for a reason. There has to be a lesson learned. There has to be something good out of it, right? Because of the duality of life. So if you are constantly focusing on like why your life is so shitty or why only negative things are happening for you and not positive things, guess what? You're going to manifest more of the negativity, because law of attraction, law of the universe, where whatever that you focus on really grows. Whatever that you give your attention to really grows. Where you put your energy, the things will just kind of flow even more, right, into your life. So with this in mind, I constantly tell myself that I got to look at things from a brighter side of things, even though it may be hard sometimes when situations happen like that. Trust me, I know how it feels like to be stuck in the rut, to be like, oh my god, things are just happening again and again, and all this negativity are just happening one after another, and it's just so hard for you to breathe and get yourself out of it. I want you to take this time, honestly, take this time right now to step back and be like, today is the day that I'm gonna change things. Today is the day, this moment is the moment that I'm gonna start breathing and change the way I view certain things and change my perspective on life, change my perspective on this particular situation. Even though you may not have a reason to hold on to the positivity, just know that there's so many things that you can be grateful for, and this particular situation have to happen for you. Okay, I know it may sound ridiculous right now, and if you are going through a very tough time, you may look at me and you might want to curse and swear at me, but guess what? It is really what helped me to get out of situations and really look at the brighter side of things. And that's when you manifest more goodness into your life. Okay, this is a lesson that I really have to learn. This trip really allowed me to open my eyes up and be like, look, whatever that I've been practicing works. Okay, this shit works. Whatever I've been talking about for the past 60 episodes works, okay, and it works wonders. You just gotta be able to be conscious about your thoughts, your subconscious thoughts, and just constantly be so in tune with your emotions. Every single thing that I talk about, right, the first thing that is so important when it comes to self-help journey is your intentions and also your subconscious thoughts. You gotta be setting intentions for every single thing all the time. It can be good intentions, it can be bad intentions. What intentions are you setting on a day-to-day basis when you're doing certain things? What do you intend to get out of that situation? It's something that I constantly tell myself, right? Going to a particular situation or just life in general, what do I intend to get out of it? Like, do I intend to have fun with it, or do I intend to just live through life day to day and just let life hit me one by one, and I feel like I have no control over life? What are your intentions when it comes to living life? I want you to get clear on that and know that you can set the intentions, and as long as you set the intentions right, everything just kind of flows into place, right? And the next thing is your subconscious thoughts. What subconscious thoughts do you have on a day-to-day basis? What narratives and stories are you still holding on to that is limiting your growth? Every single thing that happens from your thoughts. And I talked about this in a lot of my episodes, the life cycle of your episodes. Everything starts from your thoughts that leads to your actions, that leads to your emotions, and then it goes one big circle again, right? It goes back into your reality. So if you're unhappy with your reality right now, I can tell you it's because you're not setting good intentions in your life, and it's because you have a lot of limiting beliefs that you have and subconscious thoughts that you have, narratives that you're still holding on to because it feels so comfortable. And trust me, I know it. I've been through it. Coming out of it, I can tell you that it takes a lot of work. I'm not going to tell you that it's easy. It takes a lot of work for you to be able to be so conscious about your thoughts and be like, look, today, at this moment, I just want to get rid of all my negative thoughts and all my limiting beliefs one by one. It's not easy, but it's definitely worth it. This journey, this growth journey, is like your healing journey where it takes time, and it's a never ending journey, right? You'll constantly be healing, you'll constantly be growing. So enjoy the process. Really, I know it's very cliche, but please do enjoy the process, and know that with each and every single one of the conflicts, or rather one of like the uncomfortable situations that you're placed in it for a reason. You're placed in it to grow. There have to be a lesson that is coming out of it, and if there's no lesson learned, means a miracle is gonna happen. Okay, it's either a lesson learned or a miracle that's gonna happen. It's something that I constantly believe in, because I have a lot of evidence in my life that every single time that I face situations that are so unpleasant and so uncomfortable for me, something good comes out of it after. Okay, and you just gotta hold on to it, and just gotta literally trust in yourself and in your abilities and capabilities. And all this boils back down to self-confidence. You gotta have confidence in yourself, and these are like a whole entire circle. When you are so confident in the intentions that you set, and you are so certain about the the subconscious thoughts that you have, and just constantly working on it, you build confidence. You are confident in knowing that whatever situations that come in your way, you are able to grow through it, and you are able to see the brighter side of things. Okay, so through this journey, or rather this hectic life update, I kind of want to let you guys know to please remember to always look at the brighter side of things. And it's okay to feel negative feelings sometimes. Okay, the duality of life. Do not be so hard on yourself. When situations or tough things happen, the most important thing that you need for yourself, or you need to give yourself, is kindness. Okay, is some sort of like leeway for yourself to kind of breathe. Okay, don't be so hard on yourself, because when you're facing certain situations, and when you are so hard on yourself, trust me, the world is gonna already be very hard on you. People around you are gonna be very hard on you, expecting the most out of you. You can't be that person for yourself. The last thing you need is for you yourself to be pounding on yourself and be like, why are you not positive? Why are you so negative? Why are you not improving? Blah, 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 and start spiraling again. Because that's the last thing that you need. Okay, you really need to remind yourself that you're going through this with yourself. So the last thing you need is for you to beat yourself up. Okay, I want you to look at the brighter side of things and be like, you know what, I'm gonna go through this. I have confidence in myself. And when that switch happens, everything just kind of happens and change. It will go right up. Okay, trust me on this, because it's really something that I have to go through like few days back. So whatever, it's just very nice to know that whatever that I've been telling you guys, whatever that I've been growing through in life, like I realized that I've come to a point where I have grown. Looking back, if I were to go through this same situation again, I might have just break. I might just break down. I might have just like ball out and just be like, why is this happening for me? And guess what? I might have just manifested more negativity into my life, more negative situations in my life, and things are just gonna start going downwards, right? But because I've read all the self-help books, because I've seen all the podcast episodes, and just really constantly filling my mind up with mind medicines, like I mentioned, oh, the mic is excited, but like I mentioned in episode 60, the last week's episode, one of the habits that I do have is to fill my mind with mind medicines, to constantly indulge in self-help podcasts, self-help books, and to allow my subconscious mind to kind of change and shift into this positivity. So whenever I face situations that are just negative in general, I know my subconscious mind is gonna kick in and be like, you know what, this is something that you can work on. This is something that you've gone through. It's fine. Breathe, right? So this is something that I've realized that has helped me really to be where I am today, to be able to sit here with you guys and to be really vulnerable and open with what I have to go through, because not everything is rainbow and sunshines, right? It may look like rainbow and sunshines on my Instagram, and I try to be as raw and honest and like just really raw with you guys on what happened. But when I'm going through that in a moment, there is no way I'm gonna whip out my phone and be like, guys, look at me. Like, I'm literally, there is no way, okay? I like to go through things a little bit private before I come on to the podcast and tell you guys what I've learned. So this is just me. But yeah, so I just want to say that I hope this little update allows you guys, or reminds you guys, to know to continue to grow, to keep going. No matter what happens in your life, it's never too big of a deal, okay? This is something that I want you to learn as well with me, that whatever happens in your life right now, where you're at right now, it's not a big deal. You're gonna go through it either ways. Everything has to come to an end. Remember this mantra that I shared with you guys way back. Everything has to come to an end, okay? It will come to an end. So breathe, right? So I hope that this short little episode it's gonna help you guys to kind of remind yourself that, you know, things are, just take life a little bit not so seriously. Just be happy with whatever that you have, and know that you have the capabilities to go through whatever they want to go through. And in order for you to grow and to learn, to be on the positive side of things, you gotta start with your mind, your intentions, and your subconscious thoughts and narratives. Okay, and all this I talk about in different episodes. So yeah, this is just a little live update on where I am now in New York City, and I can't wait for you guys to hear next week's episode, which is probably another update on how I'm doing and how New York City is gonna be like. I'm gonna be in a different room again just because I'm changing hotels. But so far, I just love everything about New York. Yeah, it just really, this trip has been chaotic or hectic, but in a good way, and it's just kind of died down and everything just kind of seems happier. I had such a blast shopping yesterday. So yeah, and I hope that you guys do enjoy episodes like that. It's a very different episode as compared to, you know, my more serious content heavy episodes. This is just really fun update for you guys, and I hope you guys do enjoy it, because I do love like connecting with you guys just like that, you know, just talking about what's on my mind. There's no content structure, and yeah, so that's all for today's episode. I hope you guys the mic is super excited. But anyways, I hope that you guys enjoy today's episode, and I'll see you in the next one.